Forecast for tomorrow morning, the center of Sandy will likely be probably about 300 miles east of Norfolk, Virginia. A lot of rain and winds increasing along the coast. But then here we go. This is where the center is likely to make landfall. It's looking more and more like somewhere in central New Jersey at a minimum pressure. Now, some of the latest models, this particular one, the USGFS model, has the minimum pressure at 947 millibars. Now, just for reference, in historical terms, it is a lot lower than many of these locations have ever recorded. For example, New York's all-time record low pressure is 961, Philly 962, Atlantic City 960, 966 in D.C. You know, with the continued development of this system, both in terms of a tropical nature on a smaller area, and the fact that the jet stream is going to be continuing to be involved in this and intensify the system, there will likely be some pressures here that they've never seen before, and that is just a measure of how strong and how energetic this storm is on a big scale. So, you know, it's just something we've never seen before.
Hurricane Sandy, now you said for our area, it looks like things went from bad to worse.
Well, it's almost like a case of pick your own poison here, especially for the Jersey Shore, because with a northern track, the storm surge and the coastal flooding probably wouldn't be as bad as you would see with a southern track. However, with the heavier rains would be in a larger area with that northern track. Now you get the southern track, the coastal flooding and the storm surge is worse, but the heaviest rains stay away. So it's kind of like, which one do you want here? And it appears as
neither
if
one.
Neither one. And they did.
That's my answer for the whole
right.
thing.
In the Jersey Shore, they went from bad to worse with this track, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. Let's take a look at Storm Tracker 6 Live. Still dealing with a little bit of rainfall across the state of Delaware. The heaviest band has pushed to the west across Maryland, but they've already seen 3 to 4 inches with this, and now we're starting to see the second band work its way in, roughly about 30 miles or so off the coast, but during the course of the day, that will start pulling to the northwest as well. In southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania, you're going to get a little wet out of that. Here's a look at the size of Hurricane Sandy, which continues to churn up the waters here off the coast of the Carolinas. Heavy bands starting to work their way westward. You can see there's about 3 of them here. They're already reporting flooding in North Carolina and coastal sections of the Virginias. And as this storm continues to get closer and closer, we expect to see more widespread flooding here as well. The very latest from the National Hurricane Center, still holding on to 75-mile-an-hour winds, moving to the northeast at 14 miles per hour, roughly 260 miles to the southeast of Cape Hatteras. But you can see how over the last 12 hours or so, all the colors here on the western side of this storm showing how this system is starting to intensify as it gets absorbed within that upper level system that's approaching from the northwest. And that same upper level system is what's going to pick this thing up and move it towards the west or make it take that left-hand turn. Another thing that you note, this track all of a sudden is getting smaller and smaller, which means the National Hurricane Center is feeling more confident with each and every run here that they think this track is going to come right over southern New Jersey. As we zoom in a little bit tighter here, the track earlier this morning was right around here, the Monmouth County, Ocean County line. It's come down about 50 miles now. It runs it right over Atlantic City, again putting the worst storm surge and the worst coastal flooding right over southern and central sections of the Jersey Shore. Now the heaviest rain would be down here with this track. If we were to lift this track more to the north, then the worst of the storm surge is up here, but the heaviest rains, which would be down here with this track, are now up here. So again, it's almost like a no-win situation with this storm system. And again, why the track is so important is because where the center makes landfall from 50 miles to the northeast, that's where the worst of the storm surge will be. So let's suppose for a second we're working with a 10-foot storm surge. From the north of the center of circulation, we're at 10 feet. To the south, let's say it's about 5 to 7 feet. So it's a lesser of a blow should the storm go to the north. Still going to be pretty bad, but not quite as bad if the track keeps going farther and farther to the south. And then the other change we have is in the wind field. You can see all of this yellow. That's tropical storm force winds, or winds at least 39 miles per hour. This is more than 1,000 miles up and down the eastern seaboard. 58 mile per hour plus winds are in this orange shade, and hurricane force winds are in the red. Well, watch what happens here over the next couple of days. You can see how this thing just blossoms. By 5:30 in the evening Monday, we're already starting to pick up hurricane force winds down the Jersey Shore. By 8 o'clock Monday evening, those hurricane force winds then make their way into the city of Philadelphia. And we will keep those hurricane force winds until about 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. So we're looking at a 12-hour period here, at least for the city itself, of hurricane force winds, maybe a little bit longer down there at the Jersey Shore. And as we get into the midday hour on Halloween, hopefully this thing everything starts spinning itself out and weakening and pulling away. But it looks like Monday is going to be pretty bad. Tuesday still feeling the effects, and even for the first part of Halloween, looks like we'll feel some of the effects of Sandy. Now, on a lighter note, some good news here is if the storm takes that southern track again, we shift all that heavy rain a little bit farther to the south. So this forecast model suggests that now all the heaviest rain will stay down here across Maryland, northern portions of Virginia, including D.C. and Baltimore. Still going to pick up heavy rains here, but not quite as heavy as it would have been should the track move to the north. And again, this is all assuming the track that just came out were to verify. As we run this through Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see how this thing just continues to sit and spin, and it will continue to bring us a lot of cloud cover and on and off showers as we head into Wednesday afternoon. So here's a look at the rainfall totals. Again, taking the heaviest rains and shifting it a little bit farther to the south. Still looking at 7.5 in Dover, a little more than 8 in Wildwood, and closing in on 5 inches in Philadelphia. Forecast for today, some rain and wind developing, but the heaviest should remain offshore. Looking at a chilly high of 60 degrees. Wind strengthening out of the north 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts 30 to 35. And then overnight tonight, periods of rain becoming heavier after midnight, windy, 50 degrees north and west, 52 in Center City. Your exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast. The brunt of the storm arrives on Monday. 57 degrees is your forecasted high with hurricane force winds, especially during the afternoon hours. Tuesday, still rainy and windy. We're looking at a high of 54. Wednesday, maybe some morning rain transitioning over to spotty showers by afternoon, 56. Still breezy on Thursday, and hopefully Friday and Saturday that thing moves out of here. Sunshine returns and everything calms down. But it looks like a prolonged period here of unsettled weather.
Taking a long time. All right. Thank you, Chris.
What we've got really in play here is a system that is moving toward the northeast parallel to the coast, and it is what it's going to be doing is we think in the next 12 hours or so it's going to start to turn toward due north and then take that hard left turn, that west turn, which is going to be critical, and that is unfortunately going to bring very bad problems for the northeast. We think the landfall is likely now going to be somewhere in New Jersey late tomorrow evening, on Monday evening. And it will likely not move very quickly once it does get inland. You can see 70-mile-per-hour storm here moving only into eastern Pennsylvania on Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday morning it will weaken, but still not moving very much. That is a setup for potentially a lot of heavy rain. And if you look at the satellite imagery, just how expansive this system is, this is where the center of the circulation is at low levels. That's about 550 miles or so southeast of New York City. It's a long way, and yet we're still seeing some impacts, significant impacts, particularly now developing across the Carolina coast and in parts of